Listen, have you had enough?
I f***ing quit.
Are you fed up?
Attention, Walmart? Yeah, I quit my job because it sucks.
Is your boss a total jerkface?
Manage it and f*** this job. I quit.
Are you ready to quit?
Alright! I quit! I'm done!
Stick around, watch the following steps we have personally done and are showing in this channel, and these steps and other videos will help you get control of your money so you can have peace of mind even if you aren't happy at your current job.
We've heard it said that it's not what you do, but who you do it with that matters. We all know that working a job is not exactly like lounging on your couch and binging Netflix and chilling.
I want that job.
I do too. Somewhere out there. But who you do your job with and the employees you work with and the boss you work under can make or break that experience.
And if you think you're alone, you're not. Here's an article that shows 85% of the workforce is unhappy. In America, that's...
Oh.
What?
I don't even...
So the point is you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that are unhappy at their jobs, and America has a corporate cultural problem where people are just working so much, it's under stressful conditions, that their job basically becomes their life. We all have our stories. Brian's got his, I've got mine. I started my own company as a result of that because I was working 60 hours a week making pennies. So I thought, I'll start my own company. So now I work for 80 hours a week for free.
How's that working out for you?
It's not good.
No, it's okay, Tom. You're the boss.
So I
You
am
get to tell people what to do.
I'm the boss.
Let it out.
I'm the boss.
There. If you want to avoid being like Tom here,
It's not fair.
we suggest first taking a deep breath. Then follow some of the steps we show here. We'll be covering these more in detail in future videos.
So how do you get out of the mess? First of all, sleep on it. Don't quit your job. Not yet.
Quitting seems like it would be fun.
Yeah, until you get your bills next month. That's not so fun. So step one, don't quit. Sleep on it first. Go through some of the steps that we have. Develop a plan. We'll do it together because we know it sucks. We know your boss is probably awful. We know it's probably not a good place. Maybe they're making you mandatory overtime, whatever it is. We need to have a plan in place because if you think the grass is greener, if that stat doesn't say anything, 85%, that's almost everyone. I wonder who the 15 are. Have you ever wondered who the 15% of the people who are happy at their job? Probably that Netflix guy who gets to binge on his couch. Or maybe some YouTubers like Ninja or something who play video games all day.
Maybe.
So step one is don't make a decision based on emotion. Sleep on it, think it through, don't quit your job, and then go through with step two, which is building a budget. How do you do that?
There are lots of ways of building a budget. One is you could just make a spreadsheet. There are Excel templates, and Google Sheets has a template as well that you could use to just fill in the blanks with everything that you have coming in and going out.
They can help you get your sheet together.
Yes, they can. That's bad. Also, banks. Most banks have some sort of budgeting tool that you could use. They usually know from a checking account what goes in and out. And you can use that to figure out, I spend more every month that I make. So that's bad.
That would be bad. There's other tools. Rocket Money is one of them. A simple Excel spreadsheet will do, but there's an important part of building a budget. Put everything on it. Everything.
Be honest with yourself, because we all lie to ourselves about the things that we spend money on, and we justify things just so we could have it. You have to stop doing that. One thing that Rocket Money does that, and there's other apps that do it, is it will tell you what subscriptions you have. So there's a lot of people that are paying subscriptions that just comes out of your checking account or your credit card every month that you don't know about, that you don't even use anymore. So it'll tell you which ones there are, and you could cancel them.
We have somebody that we're helping out that wanted to start investing, and when we got into their finances, we found out that they had some credit cards, some other liabilities that were over the top of what their investments would have been. Had they not built a budget, they wouldn't have known that, well, I'm going to get a 2% dividend here versus paying 11% over there. Take care of the 11% first. Until you know what your budget is, you're not going to be even able to start.
You're just going to be throwing money in the wind, and hopefully it lands where it's supposed to.
So step 2, get a budget together, put it on an Excel spreadsheet, piece of paper, probably not the best way, but at least have all of your expenses and your income accounted in one place. Even if you don't have a lot of income, let's say you did rage quit and you're watching this video after you did it. Not the best thing, but if you're on unemployment, hopefully you got that, then you can put that as your income, but at least have everything put together. It could be silly stuff like what your trash bill is, your Netflix bill is, if you go to the vending machine once a week or whatever.
Starbucks.
Yeah, well, that's expensive. If you're going to Starbucks and you're worried about your budget, you probably shouldn't go to Starbucks.
Well, that kind of goes into step 3. Once you have all your expenses and all your incoming on a spreadsheet that you could see it, you can know your financial limits from that. It'll tell you how much you can spend each month. And then you could go through and cut out the Starbucks, cut out the things that you don't need. If you have Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Max, and you don't need all those, cancel some of them. Keep one, because you still have to have entertainment, right? But you could cut out a lot of money in expenses from just going through your spreadsheet now and picking out the things that you don't really need to live off from right now.
Part of being honest with yourself and your budget is also being honest with yourself on your expenditures. If you're leasing your cars and you don't own them, if you're buying new stuff that you really can't afford, you're gonna have to take a good hard look about, does it really matter? Do I really have to have the status symbol? Do I really have to have that subscription? Must I buy bottled water? What's wrong with tap if you get a cheap little filter? I mean, there's a bunch of things that you can do on knowing your financial limits that will help you. For example, if you can't pay it with cash, you probably can't afford it. Now, there are exceptions. Your house is an exception, probably a car is an exception, but that stereo in your living room, not something you necessarily need. So step 2, get that budget together. Step 3, be realistic about what your financial limitations are. Now, there are some stats out there which kind of gets into step 4, which is, I think it's like 60% of the American population is living paycheck to paycheck. So the vast majority of people don't have a lot of wiggle room to begin with.
Now, the bright side is that's down 5% from last year.
So
it was 65% last year.
It's not horrible. It's just somewhat horrible.
Right. But you don't want to be the one living paycheck to paycheck. There are people who make $200,000 a year who are living paycheck to paycheck because they spend all that they make.
Yeah, I can't fathom that. We're going to get into future videos on how to not be that person. The step 4 is you need to start saving using the above tools, even if you're paycheck to paycheck and you're the 60% of the people out there that just can't really afford to really save much. One of the ways that we're teaching a few people to help them out with is if your utility bill is $55, put 60 against it. Why do you do that? Not every utility company lets you do it, but let's say you get into an auto accident, you have a medical issue, you quit your job or you get fired, whatever happens, if you pay a little bit extra every time, you'll eventually have a couple months ahead on that. So if you have a cell phone bill or you've got your energy bill, your gas bill, your electric bill, and you're a couple months ahead and that bad thing happens, you'll have those future payments stocked up so that acts as a little bit of a cushion in the event something happens. At least if you're in the hospital, you know that they're not going to shut off your lights.
Right. Now, this step also includes paying off your credit cards and any debt that you have that isn't a mortgage, or I would say even auto loans should be paid off at this point. So you could take all the work that you did in step 3 to identify the stuff that you don't need so that now you are bringing more in than what you spend. That excess will get put into the credit cards. And there's a couple different methods. There's a snowball method for credit card debt, and there's the avalanche method for credit card debt. You can use one of those that works best for you to start paying off a credit card at a time. And before you know it, you have 0 credit card debt.
And this is also important when you're trying to save money, to have steps 2 and step 3 in there, because if you have nothing left over, you really need to go back to your budget in step 2 and figure out where is all that money going. I find a lot of people, they'll spend a lot of money on food or eating out, that's a huge one. I see a lot of people spend a lot of money on eating out. You're going to have to take steps 2, 3, and 4 and figure out where you can find money to save. Because in most cases, even if the person makes like 10 or 15 bucks an hour, I started out as like a homeless guy making $5 an hour.
Anybody can do
Anybody can do this. So you have to look at your budget in step 2, find out what your limits are, and then step 4, you need to start saving money. And if you can't do that, you need to go back to steps 2 and 3 and find out where you can trim some money. My wife and I, we shop at Aldi's. I don't go to Starbucks. I make my own coffee. Just things like that. I have some vices. We have expensive things. The point is that in step 4, this is where you're trying to find out where you have money left over that you can start making work for you.
Right.
Now, even if you've done all of that and you're still like, well, geez, Tom, I can't even afford to buy a studio apartment. If you're still in that spot, that's where step 5 comes into play.
Invest in yourself. And that could be simply as learn how to cook instead of going out to eat every day.
Ramen noodles.
Ramen noodles. That's a good place to start. But cooking isn't that hard. And if you take a little bit of time, you could figure out what ingredients you need to make what foods, and you'll find foods that you like.
Or you can be like me and just burn everything. How do you burn ramen noodles? I've actually burned ramen noodles. I've done it.
You're a special kind of guy.
I'm special. I get told that a lot.
Yeah, special.
Investing in yourself. Everybody thinks that means just go straight to college. That doesn't necessarily mean going straight to college. College is a path. If you're going to be a doctor or an attorney, you probably need to think about going to college. The University of YouTube is you can learn a lot on YouTube now. There's a ton of stuff on there. If you go to the U.S. Census, you look at the average income for the professions, you'll find out most people make about the same. Now, granted, if you're working in the factory, your income cap is probably lower than an MBA. But at that point, if everybody's making close to the same amount of money, it's more important that you do something that you love than it is to do it for the money, because you're going to be miserable your whole life. So investing in yourself includes educating yourself and finding that dream that you really want to do with what it is that you're investing in.
Right.
For us, it was IT, and now it's YouTube. For you, it could be something completely different. But please make sure you go into it and understand what the limits are financially to what you're educating yourself in before you spend money doing it.
And also, don't go to college for the sake of going to college because everybody's doing it or everybody says you're supposed to do it. Go in for a purpose.
Investing in yourself means that you have to do a couple things. If you go to college, that's great. But remember, colleges are a business. Their job is not to help you become successful financially. Their job is to educate you on the topic that you pick. So if you go to school, don't go to school for basket weaving. Find a profession that is in high demand that you know will get you in a better position that you're in right now, and go to college for that. And by the way, if you have to get into debt for college, my recommendation is not to go into debt to go to college. Check out scholarships, go work in the mailroom at a company and see if the business that will reimburse you for college. There's a lot of companies around us in the area that we live that will actually help pay for your college.
Right.
You just have to show some ambition.
So find something that brings you joy. Find something that you want to do. Find the person or people that are already doing it and are successful, and intern for them. See if they'll apprentice you for free. Just work for free.
I actually had that happen to me, and it was through R.W. Baird and Peninsula Securities. It was a long time ago. The guy took me under his wing, and he taught me everything that he knew about investments. And there was not just one of them. I showed that I was willing to push a broom. Anything it took. Just said, like, look, just show me what you know. And that worked. Now, that doesn't always work everywhere. You're going to have to find those people. Sometimes that's easier said than done. But if you're investing in yourself, remember, college is not the only path. It's a good path, but it's not the only path. And don't sell your soul financially to get into debt for a field that's not in high demand, especially if it's going through a university to do that.
Right.
College has a place, and it's a good thing, but make sure you understand what the cost of that place is. I've seen a study where people, if they invested the money versus going to college and getting into debt, that the person who invested the money and still works in the factory ends up better off financially for more than 20 years before somebody who becomes an attorney or a doctor finally catches up to them and surpasses them. In that whole time, the person working in the factory, if you find the right job, there's a lot of companies out there that will help pay for your education. So there are ways to get through college where you don't necessarily have to end up with a whole lot of debt. If you have all of that covered, you've got your budget, You know what your limits are. You're investing in yourself. You're using those tools to make sure you stay within the guardrails that you've set. Then you can start doing some of the stuff that we're talking about with our monthly stock purchases. Here's a portfolio. We started it over. This is the Dividend Dudes portfolio, not our personal one. But what that is meant to show you is that once you've been able to account for your budget, account for your finances, what you can do with the extra money that you have to help it work for you. This is huge. Our personal portfolios are a lot larger than this, but we wanted to start over to show you, especially if you're frustrated and want to quit your job, how you can make that money work for you. There's a lot of different ways to invest. We don't recommend YOLOing. Or doing anything crazy. So a lot of the stuff you see in this portfolio is very passive. So we have a dividend portfolio that's making about $22 to $25 a month on average for, I think it's around $6,000 or something like that that we've invested so far.
And that's only after a year of doing this.
Right. And you can go back and look at past videos. If you're still watching, thank you. We have
playlist up here.
Yep, there's about 16 months worth of stock purchases in there, and we had no idea what we were doing in the very beginning. We still feel like we have no idea what we're doing.
As far as YouTube is concerned, but not investing.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube is a whole different animal, but the knowledge that we have to investment personally to get us to where we're at today is there. So you can go back, watch the past videos. You can see the performance of the portfolio, especially in a crashing and a negative stock market. We've done very well. If you take what we've done and you take it out 30 years, so let's say you're in your 20s or even in your 30s and you've done this, you can see what that looks like over 30 years. And
this can be you.
And this is based on our current performance on the portfolio. Why is it so important to get steps 2 through 5 in? Because step 6 helps you make it so that you're not trading hours for dollars, that you're making money work for you. And please remember, these are monthly stock purchases. This takes time. We're going to cover a lot more of these steps in depth in future videos, and we really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Please like and subscribe. If you like this content and want to see more of it, please comment below on what you would like us to talk about, and we'll help you in any way we possibly can. Thank you for watching. We're going to look for our future stock purchase in the next month. And as always,
Happy
investing.